There are so many things that can affect our toes. It could be stiffness and arthritis or gout. We might have hammer toes or turf toes. Maybe we have an issue with bunions or plantar fasciitis, or maybe you've just stubbed your toe. Whatever it is, whether this be a long-term condition or a short-term toe pain, giving attention to your toes is very important, especially in yoga and especially in our balance. Let's stretch and spread our toes as we practice these yoga poses. Let's start with a simple runner's lunge. So come to all fours position. If you have blocks, I recommend them. We can keep the spine nice and elongated that way. So as you place your blocks, step your right foot forward right between the blocks and inch your toes forward so that you can lift up your toes. Now spread your toes and draw your heart forward just as a way to start waking up the back side of the leg. Inhale, rise up. Now reach your toes way forward as if trying to tap the floor. Again, draw the toes back, spread the toes, draw forward just slightly, reach the toes forward with as much spread as you can get, and slowly draw the pelvis back, spread your toes, and reach through with the base of the big toe. They call that the great toe, and press the base of the great toe down and lift your toes up. Come back to a kneeling position so that you can step your left foot forward. Lift your toes up, spread your toes, draw your heart forward just slightly, and slowly lift up as you reach the base of the big toe, the great toe down, and slowly draw the top of the thigh back, the pelvis back, your heart forward as you draw your toes a little bit closer toward your heart, and slowly extend and press down. Reach your toes back. Draw your heart forward, an easy stretch to the back side of the leg, but a lot of focus to the toes as you reach them forward and down. Now come to a kneeling position, and in this kneeling position, tuck your toes under. Sometimes it's hard to get the baby toe to tuck under, it's so tiny, so you might want to just take your hand back to make sure that the baby toe is pressing down as well. And as you just sit in this pose, in this Vajrasana pose, you get this nice fullness, and sometimes the heels separate from each other. So pull the heels in toward each other and release yourself down. You might have had your feet hip distance apart. So now take the inner big toes to touch and draw your pelvis back again. Walk your hands back so that you take more weight. Sometimes it's very difficult to take all your weight on your heels. So if you have your hands forward, that's fine too. You're still working your toes really nicely. As you pull the heels in, you get this nice elongation of the spine from the pelvis to the crown of the head. This nice fullness to your breath. Release. Maybe you're feeling that the feet are a little fiery now. And if that's the case for you, maybe you should point them with the knees hip distance apart and just pat them nicely as if you're kind of clapping them to the floor. Tap the toenails nicely. Before doing that one more time, bring your inner big toes together. Hug your heels in toward each other as you take weight off the hand and, if possible, all the way to the heels. This allows you to get a nice stretch in the Achilles tendon and your ankles. It really strengthens the ankles a lot as well. Come to all fours position again. As you're ready, make your way to downward facing dog. So tuck your toes under, lift up. And now all that footwork that we did, you feel a nice engagement of the feet. And with that, you have this nice dorsiflexion of the feet in downward facing dog. Walk your feet in just slightly so that you can draw the toes just a little bit deeper in this stretch. Now reach the right foot back and press your toes down. Step your right foot back. Reach your left foot down. So the toenails are really pressing into the mat nicely. Do that again. Press your right foot back. Toenails, all the toenails press down. Release your foot and extend your left leg back. Same thing, pressing the toenails down. Release. Make your way to all fours position. One of the reasons that it's really good to do work that we did in the dorsiflexion, plantar flexion action of the foot is because, especially in athletic shoes, do you see how the toe curls up? And that 10 to 15 degree curling up in the design of the shoes will create some tightness in your toes. So from all fours position, if you've got blocks, use them again. Step your right foot between your hands or between the blocks and press the back toenails down so much that you can lift your back knee up and take it down. Let's do that a few more times. Press your toes down to lift your back knee up and take it down. And one more time. Press the toenails down to lift the knee up and down. And come back so that you can step your left foot forward, pressing your right toenails down. Press the toenails down and lift the knee up. Now, for some of us, we don't need the blocks. If you can take your arms up and manage the lunge without the use of the blocks, by all means. And let's try that a few more times. It's a nice thigh stretch as well. As you press your toes down, lift your knees up. And once again, if you'd like to balance, you can lift your arms up and take the knee carefully down. And one more time. Press the toenails down to lift your arms up and release down. Come to a seated position. You can be seated in a chair if you wish. In another video, I showed the work of the hands, pulling the fingers for more energetic action in the hands. And so it is with the feet. So take hold of the great toe and pull, and the second toe, each toe, you just pull just to stimulate the toes nicely, as if you're trying to just kind of pull them out of your foot several times. We get this from Chinese medicine. One of my favorite Chinese medicine teachers taught us this, and it's such a wonderful way to stimulate the foot. Another thing that you can do is spread your fingers and place the spread fingers between the toes and move the toes nicely forward and back in the way that we were doing just a few moments ago in a more weight-bearing action. Look at the nice spread to the toes. Let's do that on the other foot. As you spread the toes and just grab the big toe, pull, create just a nice energetic action, pulling the toes. And now you can thread your fingers between the toes. You want to try to get the fingers all the way to the base of the toes, the webbing of the toes, moving them forward and back. And release out of that. Now that our toes are very energized, come to a standing pose. Now that we can access a nice spread to the toes, with the feet hip distance apart, bend your knees, take the tops of the thighs back, reach your arms up. Now lift your heels up so you're really working those toes that we were pulling to create this nice engagement of the toes. As you draw the pelvis down, you open the heart nicely. Now press your heels down and rise up. Release your hands. In the same way, without the arms, you can lift your heels so that you're on tiptoes and just draw down to the heels. The heel, the calcaneus, is really strong. And by lifting your heels up and drawing down, almost like you're just falling on your heels, this may create a bit more stability in your standing actions. Lift your heels up, fall down on the heels, and up and down, and up and down. Let's now come to a supine position, lying down. With your knees bent, draw your right knee in and lift your right foot up toward the sky. The right knee stays bent. Reach your right hand to catch the big toe with the right hand. Now draw your right knee down toward the mat as you press your right big toe and reach it up to the sky. So your toe is really working against your index finger and your middle finger. Keep on reaching the big toe up as the other toes spread and draw toward your face. This is a very strong action. Release your foot down. Same thing on the other side. Draw your left knee in. Take your foot up. With your middle finger and index finger, thread it right between your big toe and second toe. As you hook your fingers around the toe, draw your knee just a little bit closer to the earth. Now reach with a strong action of the big toe. Reach it up toward the sky as the other toes spread and keep active. You might feel a nice opening in the pelvic area as you do this. Release your foot down. And now a very well-known pose, happy baby. Let's do that. As you hug the knees in and lift your toes up and hook your big toes all the way to the webbing, all the way to the webbing of the fingers and the toes. You draw the knees down as you push your big toes into the fingers. You get this nice, strong action of the toes. They're spreading. You might want to just move side to side to give yourself a nice massaging action as you're still doing a very strong action with the legs. And you can release your feet down. You can straighten your legs. Please allow your legs to just release, your arms to release. In the yoga practice, we give great attention to the actions, to the muscular engagement, to our alignment, and especially to our attitude. In this supine position, as you take your attention to your breath, it's your opportunity to assimilate these actions. And notice how the practice that you did to spread the toes enables you to feel the very energized legs all the way from the toes to the pelvis. You have this awareness that gives you a sense of freedom. Use this time to pause, or if you must move on to the activities of your day, move very slowly with awareness from Savasana to a fetal pose, to gently lifting yourself to a seated pose. Thank you for joining this exploration of our toes and our feet, how we can engage more fully in our yoga practice, how we can get more spread to the toes. Namaste.